It's another one of my British Skating Legends DVD interviews. And today I'm talking to Pat Kirkham, now Pat Brown, who I think it's fair to say is a pioneer of ladies speed skating. We're going back some years now. I know it's been some years since you skated. But just for the record then, Pat, when and where were you born?
Well, I was born in Edgbaston actually, and we moved down to Hockley later on in my life, you know. But I was born at my grandmother's house in Reservoir Road.
Oh, I know it well.
Do you know it?
I do, yes. Yeah, my family's from that area.
Oh, right. Well, that was where I was born.
Okay. So true Brummie then?
Oh, yes. Through and through, I think.
Good. That's like I like Brummies. So what was it like growing up in Birmingham back then, as opposed to now? Do you think what were the differences that you feel?
Oh, I think there's a lot more going on now for the young people and for us, and things to do. And I mean, it was quite. When you look back, it was quite drab, shall I say? You know, there wasn't many things to do, and especially like we were after the war. And the war years, and everything was short, and there wasn't many places, money was short. And if you're talking about the skating, what brought me to that, it was the fact that I've always wanted to skate, but I wanted to ice skate was the thing. Okay. And I could never get anybody to go with, at that age. And so as I grew up, I went by, and at the end I asked my dad, and I said, I'd love to learn to be able to skate, and ice skate, And he said, I can't ice skate, he said, but he says, I can roller skate a bit, he said. And he said, if you like, I'll take you. And I went up to Butlins. Do you remember it used to be at where the Tower Ballroom was? They used to have a Butlins fair there.
Right, I didn't know that.
And they used to have an asbestos rink, a roller rink, and that was where I learnt to skate.
So what year would that have been?
That would be 52, 54. Where are we? 54. Barry, where would that be then? That's 32.
Maybe 16.
32.
So it'd have been in the late 40s, really.
46,
yeah, in the late 40s.
47, 40 around that era, yes,
okay.
yeah.
Was you evacuated during the war?
No.
Or, so you was in Birmingham?
We had the chance to go, but we didn't go, yes. We saw the
okay.
war
What was it like in Birmingham back then, during the war, was it?
Well, scary
Really?
as a child, yes, we had a series of very bad raids and things like that, and at one stage my school, a landmine was dropped on it when I was about 13 or 14, wow. And we had to move to another part. We went, my aunt had us into her home for a while to take us out of it because it was around the area, because it was a factory area where we were, and so we were kind of
in Hockley.
Yes, yeah. They used to follow the canal the bombers had and drop bombs round there, thinking to hit the factories. And so at one time we were kind of going to down the shelters at about 6 o'clock and staying down there till morning, So my aunt had us. We went to Sullyoak, where she lived, and we stayed with her for a while because she thought they were slightly out of the bombing area, And I seem to remember, which was quite funny really, there was a very long raid which lasted, do you remember that, Mary? And it was there at my aunt's where she thought it wasn't going to be very...
in Sullyoak.
Yes, it was going to be all right. We're kind of out in the country there a little bit, and it wasn't, we had a bad raid there. But apart from that, as I say, we're going back to things like that. As I say, the skating came on about my 14th birthday, and my dad said, well, I'll take you up to the rink at the reservoir, and I'll learn you to skate.
Excellent. So where was the ice rink? Was there an ice rink in Birmingham
Yes,
at the time?
that was in Hockley, not far from where I lived, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, at the... Spring Hill.
Oh, okay. Which later became a roller rink, I believe.
That's right.
Okay, the Mecca.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't realise that Spring Hill. I knew it was an ice rink, but I didn't know when.
Yes.
Okay.
That's it. Yes.
So before we go any further, I've got to ask, what does the A stand for? It's Pat A.
Patricia Annie was.
It is Anne.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, did you consider yourself sporty back then? I know you wanted to do some roller skating, but was you a sporty person?
I enjoyed sport and physical exercise, like, at school I enjoyed that, anything active like. I wasn't particularly academic, shall I say. I preferred the sports and things side of it.
So when you got your first pair of skates on, this is on this asbestos floor.
Yeah, yeah.
How did you progress from that into speed skating?
Well, it was rather a long story because, as I say, my dad took me and he found...
I got plenty of tapes, by the way.
You all right?
Yeah.
So, I was going to say, I don't want to go...
No, you carry on.
I'm rambling,
I've got 3 hours of tapes.
Oh, okay. Well, as I say, my dad took me and he found out he couldn't remember how to skate when we got there. And he asked someone that was going round there, that was dancing, his name was Bob, but I can't remember a man in his early 40s, I should say, if he would take me round to help me to skate, as it was my first time. So I went round with this fella for a time, and we found out that he lived close by us in Hockley. So after this one time, he asked if I could go back, and if he was there again, whether he'd see that I went round and was somebody there that had helped me, and that was how it started. And then from there, I met Barry, and there was a group of us used to be there. And then this Bob was a very keen dancer, and he was actually teaching me to dance the part of it more than the speed part of it, But we used to play about, as you do, and you used to get a big line of people and swing them round, and I found I liked this part of it better than the dancing or something. And so he used to take us down to Wolverhampton because this rink used to close in the winter months. So we used to go down there and travel by bus and go down and spend the evening there and then come back. And this went on for some time. And then the roller skating rink in Waldorf Road.
Yes, yeah, the
it had been closed through the war because it had been used for storage.
Okay.
So then that opened, and then we started going there. And then gradually... Barry used to go sometimes on his own on a Friday night, hadn't you, Barry? And you found that the club was there. There was a start of a club.
Yeah.
That one of the fellas that had been skating before the war had come back and started this club up.
Who was that, do you know?
What was his name, Barry? Can you remember?
Not Bunny Bennett.
No, Bunny was there, but...
Charlie Bush.
Charlie Bush
Charlie
was
Bush.
one, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
And so... we decided, because I don't think I was old enough then, Barry. Where we were, we went 16, were we? I was.
You wasn't, they wouldn't.
You wasn't you? But I wasn't. And so we joined the club when we were reached the age of 16.
And that was Birmingham, the Birmingham
that was
club.
Birmingham Waldorf Road, yes. Then it was called the Eagles, wasn't it, Barry? We used to call it.
Yeah. So, how long was it? You joined at 16. How long was it before you did your first race?
I think it was to be under about 12 months or something like that. I think. Do you
remember your first race?
I've got an idea. It was at Alexander Palace.
Oh, really?
Yes. Yeah. And. Just remember being very nervous and that, but we had fun and we enjoyed it. They were very friendly and good, and we had a laugh, and it was, you meet a nice crowd and everybody's with the same thing in mind, and it went on from there.
But you always skated for Birmingham?
Always
skated for Birmingham?
Yes.
So what was speed skating for women like back then? Was there quite a lot of you that did it, or was it?
No, it was a kind of people used to think it was quite strange, women skating fast, things like, or even liking it, if you want to say. And they all used to think if ever you said, "Oh, I roller skate," they'd say, "Oh, you dance then?" And say, "No, we speed skate."
Yeah. I used to find it when I say I skate, it was always I skate. No, it's roller skating.
Yes.
Doing a really, especially if it was speed skating.
Yes. Yeah.
So like back then, so that had been really the early 50s by now then.
Yes. Yeah.
And did you enter many races?
Well, as they came up, we did. We used to, because the attitude in the club changed, and then they thought that the more races, obviously, that you did. So then they started, as I say, it was all kind of opening up then after the war. And as I say, the rink had only just opened, the Walford Road, and once the club was kind of established, they decided that they'd kind of invite people from various clubs, and we'd get something going like on a friendly basis, and it started from that. And then the manager got interested at the Waldorf Road, and he used to kind of encourage them to say, oh, bring some races on, like. So more and more started to come. And then we'd have more races. They came, I think the first ones we raced was Cricklewood, wasn't it, Barry? They came, and it was one.
Broadway.
We went, yes, Broadway. And we went up to Cricklewood, and then we used to travel backwards and forwards. And then, as I say, then...
Is that the the rink? The Cricklewood rink was open, was it?
Yes,
Or was that,
yes.
Or was it the Palace?
No,
the
it was
Cricklewood Road,
Cricklewood.
it was still there, the
Yes,
Broadway.
it was a very small
Right.
little rink it was,
Yeah.
you know. And I also remember in one part there was a hole in the floor which you used to have to dodge around when you skated.
Oh, right.
This was there for everybody, of course,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's quite funny, really.
So you went to the Palace and Cricklewood. What other rinks did you skate in those days?
We went down to Herne Bay. We went to Leicester. We went to Manchester,
Oh, okay.
Bradford, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
Bradford. Yeah.
Um,
Did you go down to Rochester and the casino? Did you ever skate down there?
no, I don't think we did.
No.
I
Okay.
don't, maybe. No, we did once, didn't we, I think? Very tiny little rink it
Yeah.
was, a little circular kind of thing, yeah, that's... And I
Okay.
think I went once there, you know.
So is there a particular? If I was to say to you, is there a particular race that you remember? Certainly in the early days, is there one that stands out for you that you can remember?
Yes, there is.
Go on then.
One at Leicester, I can't remember the name of it, but I got through to the final. And I think there was a couple of the London girls in it, I think, and I can't remember who the other one was. And I took the lead, and I went all the way round till the last 2 or 3 laps, and I went out on the corner, and it lost me the race. So it lost me the championship.
Oh, so it was a championship at Leicester.
That was,
Yeah.
the final. Yes, that
Yeah.
was the finals. You know.
Really Turner
And that.
and Sally Stapley.
No.
Is that not the song?
No.
Oh, okay.
Maureen Hill. That's
Maureen Stewart.
was.
Yes,
the one.
yes, right.
I,
Yeah,
can't,
'cause
and
she
I,
won
I don't know
52.
whether it wasn't Joan Rawlins that was in the other one, but
okay. Yeah, because
and I always-
Maureen won. That was the end. She won the half mile.
yes,
Maureen, I think
yeah.
in 52.
But it was the half mile anyway.
Yeah,
It was the half
52,
mile
she won,
race,
yeah.
you know.
So I'm going to say so because I've got down from the records I've checked in November 52. This is so.
Yeah.
So that's when you won your first championship medal. I don't know if you remember this or know
No,
this.
I don't.
And it was a silver in the quarter mile at Alexandra Palace. And first was Robinson. Was it Joyce Robinson or from Broadway?
Yes, I think
Yes,
it was.
Joyce
yes,
Robinson,
yes.
and then you were second, and Sally Stapley was third.
Yeah.
But you don't remember winning your first medal, or do you?
Well, I do now you
Nice.
talk about
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, I do now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you remember how that panned out, that race? Yeah.
Well, I'm not sure, but I didn't get in with the fastest second in the one instance into the final, and I remember everybody was quite excited because it was the first, like, you know, girls win from the rink, so to speak, and. So the atmosphere, I was very nervous. I was always very nervous before
Really?
the race. Yes, butterflies in tummy and all sorts, like, you know. But once started, you forgot all about it, you know. And I did enjoy it, like, you know. And as I say, I was amazed that I lasted, you know, as you do, kind of, because we'd already done the quarterfinals and semi-finals and the race itself, like, you know.
What was the
So-
atmosphere like then, back then? In the rinks?
Excitable, it was good. It was good.
The
It
crowd
was nice.
really behind you?
Yes, it was nice.
And did you all get on, did you?
Yes, I think so. I mean, there was obviously the odd little things that went on, but on the whole, I think everybody was in the skating clubs and that were pretty nice. You know, really good.
So
And
in those early days in the 50s, because like you made the national team in 53 to Venice, as
Yes,
we spoke
yes.
about earlier. But what was the team selection and the team trials like back then?
Well, there wasn't an awful lot in them, like, you know, when I say the amount of people that were in them, because we were short supply of girls, and you had to reach some kind of a standard, like I gather, with what speed you were doing for the quarter or the half or whatever you were entering, you know. And I think it was based on that. No, we were quite surprised. As I say, we were invited down to do some trials.
Was that Moorgate?
Yes.
Was that
yes,
in the old
yeah,
bomb?
Yeah, yes, on the old bomb site, round the old, on the road. That was the first time we kind of skated on the road, really, so it was all a bit new. And you had to alter the balance of the wheels we did, like, you know, the wheels tended to be, it sounds funny, but the broader they were was better.
Right.
And we used to race round the blocks. I think it was a couple of the blocks where the houses would have been at one time, like, you know. And I think we could see the actual underground railway that broke through because there'd been bomb damage there, and it went past. And we were all in this area, like, you know. And every weekend for about, what would it be? Half a dozen or more times we used to go down on the Saturday and go early, and then we'd race all day and come back at night.
What were the wheels made of? Were they?
It was wood.
It was still, even on the road, it was wooden wheels.
It was wood.
Why didn't they break up and stuff like that on the roads?
Well, they did eventually. Obviously, you got a lot of wear and tear on.
Yeah.
But this was the idea of, I think, of the whereas they were rounded off when they first started, they became flatter, and we went from boots into, a lot of us, into boxing boots, the soft leather, onto a plate. And it extended, we used to extend the wheelbase slightly to a normal dance skate.
Out wide, you mean?
In length. In length, yes.
Ah, okay.
So that, what can I say? It moved out from under the ball of your foot slightly towards your toes, that kind of thing.
How did you manage to alter the length of the spacing? Was that through the plates adjustable?
Because the plates were made. The fellas made the plates out of aluminium.
Oh, right.
That was the first start, because there weren't many skates, racing skates, or any of those.
Yeah.
There was either dance skates, and that was it. And so.
So you should change your plates.
Yes, they changed the plates and based it around a boxing shoe, like soft leather, and just fitted it completely through the shoe at the bottom of the shoe, like, you know.
But if you wanted to change the wheelbase of your from front to back of your plates, you just change your plates. In other words, another plate. It wouldn't be. Or could you adjust it? They weren't
no adjusting. Once it was there, that was it. But it gave you, like, I suppose, a flatter footed kind of thing. Yeah. But it was better for a speed skater because you could push forward and you got a slightly longer stride.
On the road.
Yes, on the road. Well, even on the inside on the indoor rings.
Okay. So do you remember when you got selected? Do you remember when somebody said your name in the national team?
Yes, I do. I've still got the telegram.
Have you really got the telegram? Yeah. And how did you feel back then?
Brilliant! Absolutely ecstatic.
And did it sort of dawn on you that you were one of the first women skaters to go to a World Championships? Did it really mean something? I don't say mean something to you, but did it dawn on you that this was a new era really in speed skating for women?
Not so much then, only the fact that we were going, and in the first instance I think it was all from the one club. They all came from Birmingham.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yes. Even and it was you, Marlene Worrell.
Yes, Doreen Campbell.
And Pat was
a reserve. Yeah.
So for all the ladies to be from one club, and I presume, like, do you think there was disappointment in the other women?
Oh, yes, because it's like we used to think that the clubs, like, you know, you get fashions where you seem to get all the Birmingham people have a go and they seem to be at the front, and then you get London had always be at the front. But London had started out at the front, like, really. So for us to achieve this, it was quite a big thing, like, you know.
Yeah, because people like Renee Turner and Sally Stapley and Jean Smith never got to skate in the World Championships.
No.
So and I suppose really it was quite a coup for
Yes.
Birmingham.
Yeah.
I mean,
And-
you were only in your early 20s.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. I think I was 21 when I
Yes.
went, actually. And it's only when you look back you see what an achievement it was in those days, People
Yeah.
had never heard about it when you
Yeah.
and then when you turn around and said we're going to Venice, and of course everybody thinks canals and they think what they're doing in Venice, So that was quite funny as well. But as I say, it was really wonderful, really.
How did you get there? Was it plane or train or
Train.
Was it?
Train.
I was going to say,
Yes,
was it the
yes,
train?
yes. And it was 2 days and two
Oh, wow.
nights on the train, and we just travelled down in the seats that we just sat up. We were in just ordinary seats. We didn't have a bed or anything like that in the cabins, or anything like that. The first time, anyway.
That must have been quite tough, though. 2
Well,
days on a train.
Yeah, it was. It kind of, although the scenery was wonderful, and there was something, and you see, it was quite an occasion for us because neither of us in those days, not many people went abroad. So not only was it a skating nicety, shall I say, it was always nice to go abroad as well and see something, different and out of your own zone. Really, it was a wonderful thing, really, and a big chance, I thought, for everybody.
Yeah. Well, so how long was it you got there? How many days preparation did you have before the racing started?
Hardly any. The next day we were on the track
Wow.
trying it out.
Yeah.
Just to say, it was there. I think we arrived on the Friday. We started on the Wednesday, arrived on the Friday, and Saturday and Sunday we were on the road.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And what did you think of the circuit? Was it as you expected, or?
A bit surprised, I think,
Yeah.
when we went. I don't know whether you've seen any of the circuits, but we were like really on the beach almost, because the beach was
Lido,
over the
the
other side.
Lido?
Yes, Lido, yes,
Lido?
yes. Over the road was the actual sea, and the sands. And then this side of the road, we'd got the one side of us, we'd got the casino,
Yeah.
and we were alongside the casino and in front of it, and they'd kind of cordoned the road off so that the traffic can go through. And we were on the section at the side of the Lido and up by the casino, and they'd put raised seats, which was new to us. It was quite exciting, really, to have an audience, and that was it.
So what was the atmosphere like there then
Oh
during the
no, it's
racing?
wonderful, because everybody, it was like as you say, it was new, one of the first ones, and then you begin to see, and people from all different countries, and they were all interested in each other and getting to know each other, It was wonderful, really. It was a very nice time.
I seem to recall when I spoke to Les, because that was Les Woodley's first championship as well in
Yes,
'53.
yeah.
And he said it rained for one of his races. Did it rain for any of your races, or was it wet? Can you remember?
I'm not sure now. I can't remember. I don't remember it. It didn't strike me as wet. I don't know whether perhaps we might have had a shower and the ground might have been wet, but I don't remember skating through rain at all.
I just wondered how you'd coped with
Yes,
it,
yes,
especially on wooden
yeah.
wheels. Those would get a bit soggy.
Yes, not good.
So who were the best nation? I'm guessing would have been the Italians.
Yes,
So,
yes.
and, did you? How did you take to that? Did you learn from them, or was you in awe of them? How did you feel about the Italians when you actually saw them for the first time?
What can I say? We're not in awe, but kind of. What would you say? They were very good skaters, and they'd got very strong skaters, shall I say. They'd got a pattern worked out in the team. There was a team. You got the feeling, and as we found out as we went through, that it was always the two girls helped the one, and one was sorted out to win one race, the 1 mile, and another was the second, and the other two girls helped. It was more like of a team effort there, or backing by the team. And they didn't like it if either of their, what can I say, compadres moved out of section, or past them or anything like that. And there was a little bit of argument. And they also made it sure that, they kept the group together. You had a job. If you wanted to go past, you'd got to break the group, if you can understand me. So you got 3 to pass, really. But as I say, we got the same kind of thing when we saw what was going on. You know, you kind of work your own section out, and obviously you start where you're put anyway because of it's already selected. But what can I say? I suppose it's like all races. There was a bit of jostling and what have you, and a bit of elbow liking going on, yes, amongst these, and they were quite good at this kind of
physical
thing. Yes, everybody passed the same comment, you know, and I think probably that was the biggest surprise to me, how much rivalry was there, you know, and how strong it is, you know. But what I noticed, and most of us did, there was a lot of backing from I gather the government supplied them with their things, and they got a lot more backing than we had. The skating gear and all the rest of it. And I mean, that doesn't make for the skating, but evidently it helps, like, and you just notice these things, don't you, when you come where you haven't had this.
It was a very professional outfit.
Yes, that was it. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So the fact that the argy bargy, did you give as good as you got, or was that a real shock?
In the end, I think we just kind of as I say, looked after ourselves really, and you didn't go out to what can I say? But if they came to you, you did the same thing back, like, you know, or you kept your elbows to yourself and were there to support yourself. And
did you, there was yourself, Doreen and Marlene in the races, did you then start to work as a team so that you was helping one another, or was it just every man for himself or every woman for himself?
No, that was, I think we started to, if we could get together, because there was quite a number, as you can see on the starts and some of the starts, so it wasn't always that easy. And of course, if you're going out to get past people, you know, about 3 or 4 wide, then you kind of are losing ground all the while. But if we could, we got together and like, I suppose, almost relayed it, you know, in the distances to help each other. But in the sprints, it was then everybody, you know, you just did your own thing, obviously.
So the funny thing is that in the results books, it shows that you know, there was the 3 Italians and then you, really. So, you know, you were 4th in Venice. I think out of the 3 races, I think you'd come 4th twice, I think, and 2 4ths and a 5th, something like that. So, I mean, did it really stick in your mind then that you know, you're, it's probably a bad phrase to use, but the best of the rest? Did you think of it like that? You know, you've got the Italians who were perhaps out somewhere in a professional outfit.
I suppose you pick up on that. You think, well, we're up here with those and they are doing so well, so that you kind of, you do pick up on that a little bit, you know. And obviously you want to be up there. I mean, that's where you're striving to be, you know. And you're trying to break them up, like, as well, to break their team and their rhythm up, really, as you go round.
So, going back domestically into this country, was there much rivalry? I know you said like you got on and it was a few niggle, but was there much rivalry between women skaters back then, do you think? Or was it all pat on the back, well done, you know, congratulations and all, Betty?
You know, I can't remember any...
Your worst one was the Leicester one, wasn't it?
Yes, well that was... Yes.
Go on and tell me about the Leicester one.
Well, this is one I told you in the first place. Out. Yes.
But did you slip out? Or you did slip? It wasn't pushed, or was you pushed?
No, it wasn't pushed. But they stepped in, shall I say, and it was supposed to not be done, like, you know, in the position on the corner, like, you know. But I mean, that's one of these things. The judge is there, then you take their word for it, don't you? You know. Now I've forgotten the question. What was you saying?
Say the rivalry between the ladies. Yes. Was there much rivalry?
There was rivalry. Obviously, we all wanted to be there at the front, but I mean, there was rivalry between Lou and me, like, you know, because both, you know, and we were close, like, you know, and we were also friends, which makes it difficult sometimes, you know, but not on what can I say, with. Not with angst in it, like, you know, anger or anything like that, you know. You would just...
So you never lost your rag with anybody, is that right?
No.
You're too nice.
I don't think so. Yes.
You don't think so?
No.
Are you sure?
I'm just going back. No, as I say, once or twice you get a few elbows and things, whether you don't always know whether they're intentional or not, you know, but apart from that...
But you never had any crosswords with anybody?
No. Only on one occasion I was quite angry, and that was over the relay team. And I was captain of the relay team then, and we were at Alexander Palace, and we won the race. And it came out that they then said that we hadn't finished the last 2 laps with one person. I don't know whether it's the same today. I presume it is. Yes, yeah.
Indoors.
That we'd crossed the line in the exchange where you pass the baton, so to speak, where we shouldn't have done, and left it late. And we didn't think we had. In fact, we knew we hadn't, and we argued the point. We went and saw the judges, but that was it. The judgment is made, and it stays. So that's it, and that's what you went by. But
was that a championship race? Was it?
It was just a relay race.
It wasn't a championships.
Yes, I think it was the. Now, I'm not too sure of this, and then I don't want to go and say this if it's wrong. It wasn't the bowl, was it, Barry? It wasn't the Lumley Bowl. I'm pretty certain. I think it was one of the championships, the relay championships, because I think there was only one other than the one we had, a friendly one.
So you've got. I mean, who would you have considered to be your biggest rival back then? Because as I said, over the period you were skating, you got 7 British Championship medals, but who was your biggest rival? Was there any one person or?
No, I don't think there was. Not in the first instances, not in the early days, there wasn't, I don't think. And it's only when our club came to the top that you start to get, I suppose, your rivalry between Louis and me, the last, if you wanted to talk about it. But in the other races, the girls were not well known to me, so I didn't, know them as such. Like, I mean, the Cricklewood girl, the one girl there was, I can't remember her name now, but she's in the book there. She was very good, but I didn't think it as a rivalry. To me, it was always the race and to get to the end and to be obviously as near to winning as you can.
But talking about rivalry, you yourself and Louis, and for the record, Louis is Pat Eason.
Yes.
People know who don't know her as Louis. But you talk about rivalry, but I don't want this to sound like that it makes you any less of a skater, but she always tended to get one up on yourself. If you look at her record, I mean, obviously she skated a lot longer than yourself anyway.
Yes, yeah.
But is that because you were too nice, do you think, or was it just circumstance on the day?
No, I think it's circumstance on the day. I just think that was the way it went. That's the way it went.
Okay. So you got other in the Birmingham team as well. You've got Pat and then you got Doreen and Marlene, and you were a real force to be reckoned with collectively, especially in the relays. So, and did you all get on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So all socially, you was and
yes, we did.
And in the domestic racing, did you race for each other, or was it more every man, I keep saying every man, every woman for themselves domestically?
I think it's more for yourself, actually, domestically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What was training like back in those days?
It was good. We had good fun. Especially when Bunny Bennett and Jackie Struggles, they kind of took over the training part. And as we got to know what was going on, various races and how various ones trained, and we started to sort out what we would do for training. And the girls always trained separately.
Really? You didn't
not at the first, no.
Okay.
And then Bunny Bennett said he thought, and I think it was Jackie Struggles, I think it was a collective thing between them, that we would do better, or it would help us if we trained in with the men. And no sooner than we did, that it made a vast difference, because it pushed the men a bit harder, and it brought us up because we were keeping up. It was helping us as well, to move along. And we started training, and we used to do a session in the mornings on the Sunday morning where we would go from the back to the front, but you'd keep your speed up. It would be quite a good speed, and so you'd have to keep passing the group, and each one would have to go up and then fall back or do that, or the other way around, And we found that very good. And then we started to find that it was helping us with the distances as well. And you're able to keep going longer. And we were encouraged by the fellas as well, which was a nice thing, which you didn't always expect, you know. You thought they might not want you with them, but they didn't. They were all very encouraging, so that helped as well. That was good.
And so how many times a week did you train back then?
We used to train, I think it was Tuesdays, Fridays and Sunday mornings
Okay.
then. And then Saturday, sometimes we'd just go for social, and sometimes if there was a race on, we'd race, which was usually on a Saturday.
And was it always at the rink?
The
Or
racing.
The training?
Yes,
or,
always at
You
the
never
rink.
trained on the roads back then?
Not then, not
Yes.
in the first place. As I say,
Yeah.
till we found out that these races were coming along on the
Yeah.
road, and then we started to look for areas, which was very difficult.
Yeah.
I remember skating down one of the roads in All Green and the police
really?
pulling us off.
Really?
Yes, don't get passing the traffic. No, he said he thought it was dangerous, but he said for today, he said, as you've kind of all heard, he said just keep to the side, and he let us carry on for that time. But so then we had to try and find other places, you know, to skate, which wasn't easy. We've skated all places, haven't we? We've skated. I remember training in Sally Park and a little circular rink on the tarmac, you know, and all sorts of places.
So, and did you was training also a social event? Did you after training, did you all go in the pub or? Did
Oh
you,
yes,
did
yeah,
you?
most times, yes. Well, Tuesdays and Fridays, shall I say, we used to go. It used to be the little fish and chip shop and the cafe that was over the road, and we all used to merge in there. And you'd usually by then be quite hungry because you'd work through the day, come home, and go straight into training, you know. I used to leave work early and then I'd catch the bus and come here, and so I'd have nothing, no tea or anything like that, and then we'd train, and then we'd all nip over the road into this little cafe and probably have a small plate of chips and something like that and a cup of tea, you know.
I mean,
things like that.
so many people was there then who used to go to the train? Must have been
Well,
quite.
there was quite a few, wasn't there? About 20 or more both
Wow.
sometimes.
About that.
Yeah, maybe more. Like,
So the chip used to love Tuesdays and Fridays then.
Oh
by the sound of
yeah,
things.
yes, it's good. And there was it was a good social group as well.
Yeah.
Like, you know, people had parties, and so everybody mixed and things like that. You know, and that was nice.
So did you do any other sports other than skating? Or did you go cycling?
Not at
or
the
anything?
time. No, not as a sport like that. No.
Okay.
No.
And going back to Venice then, just touching back on Venice. So was that the first time you'd ever skated abroad?
Yes, that's
Really?
the first time I've ever been abroad.
Really,
ever
really,
skating.
yeah.
As I say, you didn't go abroad so much then, you know, and things like it was just starting after the war, things like that going there. It was quite a big step for us.
Wow. So 1954, then 12 months on, and then you get selected again
Yeah.
to go to Bari this time, again in Italy. And so again, do you remember being called up for that?
Yes.
And was this more expected, do you think, than 53 or?
We were more prepared,
Right.
you know, we were more prepared. And we had been training because we knew these races were coming off, and so we'd kind of took into serious training the distances and things like this, you know, to get us prepared for that. And then when we were chosen, we were quite happy about it, as you would guess.
Yeah.
You know.
So how did you know that it was going to be an indoor rink before you got there?
No, we didn't know, actually. We didn't know what to expect. And really, it was quite amazed. It was a marvellous place, really. But the tiles were really hard to skate on, I found for myself personally, and I think most others did as
Denny
well.
Sill told me that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I used to suffer with blisters,
Okay.
and I'd got a foot that was slightly crippled, my right foot, and the blister always used to form on the pad of my foot under my big toe, and it was the one that as you went round the corner, you know, so I remember skating there, and after the first race I'd got this blister coming up and binding my foot up as much as I could and padding it, you know, and so that I couldn't feel any blister through it as you put it down. But it was like a vibration when you went round as well over it. You got this kind of a slight vibration on the foot, which wasn't good, you know.
Yeah. So it was really Was it smooth or was it like
It was pretty smooth,
Yeah.
but as I say, you kind of there were small
gaps
tiles in it.
between it.
Yes, you could just feel the ridge, as you
Yeah.
went across. It was, but the beauty of that place was, although it was an indoor place, it had got one of these roofs that opened out. A circular roof it was, and it opened out into the fresh air, so it opened back like you see the tennis ones now.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that
So it was
was good.
indoors, but you got some.
Yeah.
Was it a big rink? Was it?
Not particularly big. I should say moderate size. You've got to say that really to some of them I've skated on.
Okay. And was it train again down to Bari or plane this time?
That was train again.
Oh,
Yes.
that's a jaunt. That's
It
even
is.
further, isn't it,
Yes,
than Venice?
yeah.
Wow. All that time on the train.
Yes, yeah.
I don't know. You found time to stretch your legs.
Well, we used to walk up and down the corridor if there was one,
Yeah.
and if we used to come to a station of any kind, which we did in one or two places, we used to get out and walk. In fact, we nearly got left on the track the one time, walking up and down to stretch our legs, started to move off and we had to scramble, but yeah.
That must have been quite an adventure though, to go all that way again on the train.
Oh, it was. It was a big adventure, and the more so when I think back, The thing was that at the time you kind of took it in your stride. You didn't think about it too much. The main thing was the skating, and you thought about it. Then you think of all the places that you travel through, and you tell people, and you think you wish that you could have recorded it all, really, because it was such a nice thing, really.
But did it ever sink in that you're skating for Great Britain? That this is, there's 60 million people in the country, and you're.
The first time when we went to Venice, they put on a parade, and to start it off, it was like you get the Olympic Games where they let balloons off and everything, and all their what can I say? Every team had one of the Italians dressed in white with a flag to lead you out and take you round the skating area. And when you stood there and they played the anthems, then you feel the emotion, and you thought how wonderful this is,
Yeah, you actually means something. It's you're very lucky to. Well, not just luck. I mean, you worked hard to get there.
Yeah.
So, what was the team management like? Because I think it was George Lord and Albert Lamb, I think. How did you get on with them?
All right. They were all right. They were a good crew. I don't know whether I should tell you this or not.
Of course you can. There's nobody listening.
Oh, so they say. We always used to say, Mr. Lord used to always, he was always very supportive, but he was kind of, you felt sometimes that he would have hated, he was that, so straight that he didn't want to give us any leeway, so we kind of struggled a bit with that at times, If it was us or them, it was them that got it, rather than us. There's no quarter given to us, really.
But he was quite strict, was he?
Yes, yeah.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
So, and was it Albert Lamb? Was the
Yes.
Bert Lamb?
Yes.
And how was he? Yeah.
They were all very good. They're very good.
Yeah.
They looked after us very well, shall I
Right.
say? Very well.
But it's interesting you get saying about George Lord was was quite strict. What sort of things then was he strict with? Do you think?
Well, there was some instance, I think, that there was a little bit of fouling going on, and I can't remember. I was just trying to think of the incident, really clearly, but we felt it should have gone our way, and it went the other side's way, and it was said that he kind of tended to do this, if he tended to think, well,
At the World Championships, this is?
Yes,
Wow.
we can't. So I don't know whether I should say that. Really,
No, that's okay.
but
Well, he's not around to.
No, but he was a nice man, and he
Yeah.
may not have been. This is just the thought that went through, at the time, as you do, because everybody was there trying to do everything right, and do the best and everything.
I know. In other words, he tried not to show bias, but was
Exactly.
was too far the other way.
Yes, we thought at times.
Okay. So, but in Bari, so Bari's another trip, like you said, and And Joan Rawlins got bronze medal.
She did, didn't she?
Yeah,
Wonderfully.
she did.
Yes,
yeah, and
yes.
she was the first British lady to win a medal in a major championship.
That's right.
Do you remember that? Do you remember her winning that?
I do.
And what sort of emotions came out there for the team?
Well, it was great. It was great, that she'd made it through because, it was a tough race, and there was a lot of people
I think it
in
was a 10,000 metres,
Yes,
so it's quite only 6 miles.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, everybody was all pleased for her, presumably.
Yes.
And I imagine a bit shocked.
Yes, we were really because, as I say, we'd been struggling through, but she hung in there, and that was the thing. And I think I dropped away because I did quite a few laps at the front in that one, which I don't normally do, And as I say, I got cut off by the Italians so that Joan and Louis couldn't get up to the front, So I was stuck there at the front for quite a while. And I could feel this, as I say, and Joan, I knew she suffered a little bit. So, as I say, she was not too far back anyway. And I remember that she came through, and I was very pleased for her, really. And to get past the girls as well, because they tended, the Italians, like you do in the race, they tended to spread out and make themselves as, as awkward as possible to pass, which is part of the course, I suppose, and she got through, and that was good.
And so there was in Bari, there was you, Joan, and Pat, Louis.
Yeah.
Was there a fourth? There wasn't a fourth woman though, was there?
No, not this time.
But was there a reserve? I'm not so sure there was a
No,
travelling
there
reserve.
wasn't. There wasn't
just the
this
three of you.
time. No, it was just the three, I think.
And I think because the guys in Bari would have been, from memory, Ken Rawlins,
Yes.
Alan Kati, I think, in Bari. And I know Dennis Hill was there.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. But
We've got some pictures.
yeah, we've got to.
yeah.
But yeah, I just. But anyway, so again, so but that was your last one. But we'll come back onto Bari a bit. But I just want to go back a bit to 1952, and the reason I say that is because in '52 you set 3 new world records.
Yes. Yeah.
How did that come about?
Well, as I say, the 2 captains and the under captain, that we got, that was Bennett and Jackie Struddles. They'd look through some of these, and I don't know, do you remember Walford Road?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I never went there, but my dad did. But I know of Walford Road.
Yes.
I've seen lots of those. Yeah.
So you'll know the size of it then.
Was it 8 to a mile or something
yes,
like that?
it was quite the biggest.
Big, yeah.
It was the biggest rink in, I think, in Europe, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And so they measured the course out, and decided that what did they do, Barry? They extended the course, didn't they?
What they did, what you got is like a running track type shape
There you go. Oh,
in the,
there you are.
on the rink floor.
Yeah.
But when you skated it, you didn't go round the bend like if you would do it on a running track and straight up the side. You tended to skate to the outside of the track. So, and what they did, they moved the measurements of the track to where you actually skated,
Okay.
and that's
Okay.
And they just looked round and they said all these things. It'd be nice to break some of these records,
Yeah.
and some of the times were very good, like our times were,
Yeah.
and close to them. So everybody then started to sort out to try and go for what.
So and do you know how it came? But did they have to apply to the international federation?
Oh yes, because it has to be all organised,
Yeah,
and it has
yeah.
to go through the NSA. Whatever
Yeah.
you do has to go through them.
Yeah.
Yes.
So again, I mean, this is before you were an international, really. This was in '52. So again, did the understanding of what you just achieved, you're now the fastest woman in the world. Did that really register with you at the time?
No, I don't think it ever did. It never did. Not to such an extent. You always thought, well, somebody's going to come up and try and get it next,
Which
but it
they
was
would,
nice
yeah,
to
yeah,
have,
yeah.
which you expect them to,
Yeah, but like
it was nice.
a world record.
It was nice to have, yes.
A world record
yes.
means that over 3 distances, no less.
Yes.
So what was
yeah.
it, quarter, half, and 1 mile? Was
Yes,
it?
yeah.
So you are now the fastest woman in the whole world on roller skates over a quarter mile, a half mile, and a mile.
Well, it was
And
nice.
there's 5 billion
It was
people in the
nice.
world,
Yes, yeah.
and there's nobody faster.
It sounds wonderful when you say it like that. At the time, like, I think it was probably a bit overawed. I was just pleased I'd got there, got them, and all the rest of it. Like, as you say, when you talk about it now and I think back, I'm quite proud of it. Obviously.
Yeah,
I'm
I'd be
quite
more than
enjoyed
proud of it. I'd be
Yeah.
shouting from the rooftops, I think. But
Yes, yes.
So you had certificates for those, did you?
Yes, I got
And you
those
got them.
certificates there.
So did you receive any other recognition? Was there anything in the papers or anything like that? Or
We'd get a small spot in the
Yeah.
paper they used to write, hadn't they? I don't know whether you remember the Argus paper.
Yeah,
It was
I
a
know,
sports
the
paper.
pink- the
They
pink-
used
yeah,
to do
yeah,
most
yeah,
for
yeah.
us, like, really.
Yeah.
And they were always writing little bits and pieces up there.
yeah, I mean, so I'm yeah, that's impressive. You know what I mean? Is it to be a world record holder? I think he's excellent. So between 1954 and 1957, you helped the Birmingham ladies team win the British Relay Championship on 3 consecutive occasions. Because I think there was one year when it wasn't held. So, but do you remember those races?
Yes, they were very good.
And what do you remember of them? I mean, how dominant was you? Was you streets ahead of everybody else? Was it close or what?
Well, the first one we won, I think we were a bit surprised, but we'd been trying hard, like, and the team was a good team, and I think we'd been together, like the 4 of us, like, you know, and so we were kind of knew each other and I think that helped a bit as well, you know. We knew each other's moves and that, and then after the first one, obviously you want to keep it, so we always we trained hard and all the rest of it, and it was noticeable that we did win, like, on several occasions, you know.
Yeah.
So
And was it always yourself, Pat, Doreen, and Marlene?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, mainly.
Yeah.
Yes, I can't think of any time that it wasn't. I found no.
No. So, but you never won a British title yourself.
No.
And yet you gained 7 individual medals. You know, I think 4 silver, 3 bronze. But I mean, what people need to realise is that back then in the 50s, there was only 2 championships per year. I mean, if we look at the current racing, I think you can win. If you include indoor, you can win 9 or 10 championships in any one year now, and people start to amass lots of golds.
Yeah.
And they're even talking about doing some road championships on top of that, so there's more. But back then, there's only 2, the quarter mile and the half mile. So the fact that you never won one is, you know, I understand that it's neither here nor there because you were close with 4 silvers and 3 bronze. But did it ever bother you that you never won one?
Yes.
Did it really?
Yes. It bothers me now, like, really. I always wish that I could have had one, like, you know.
What do you think stopped you winning one?
Well, I don't know, really. I don't know. I came close, and in one occasion, I think it was Louis and I. The time was the same, like, you know. It was a matter of yes. It was just one of those things, I think, you know. Perhaps it was meant to be. I don't know. I was told once I hadn't got the killer instinct. I don't know whether that was true or not, but probably it could have helped towards it. Like, you know, perhaps my attitude wasn't. I don't know whether it's. You wouldn't say aggressive only in the form of the sport, like, you know, but I think maybe that had got something to do with it, or hungry enough, whichever you like. Although I always thought I was, you know.
What do you think now?
I still think I would have liked to have won one, you know.
Yeah.
And it niggles a bit there.
Does it
you
really?
know? Yes.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because I can sort of. I mean, I was lucky enough to win one. I only won, you know. But it took a long time. And like I says, you only did the sport for like I think it was about 7, 8 years, weren't it? You know, if you look at it, yeah. But like, you know, it took me forever, and it just came right at the end. But it's funny to listen to you say that other people thought you hadn't got the killer instinct. As I say, do you think you had or you hadn't got the killer instinct?
Well, I didn't think of it like that, you know. I just thought at the time, like, you know. But I can't explain it really. I thought I was hungry enough, shall I say. You know, I wanted to get there, like, you know. But there was just something, and perhaps it was not meant to be, I don't know. It was just one of those things, you know.
Well, if it makes it any easier for you, one of the best skaters that ever graced this earth was a guy called Darren Cobley in the 80s. And he won medals galore at European Championships and in actual fact, he a gold medalist in relays and also silver and bronze in Europeans over a couple of years, and probably I think he's probably the most successful British skater in any one European Championship, and he was never a British champion. So if it makes it any easier for you, don't think for 1 minute the fact that you never won a title is any reflection on just how good or how bad you are, because I honestly don't think that's the case.
Don't you?
No. For somebody who was a 3 times world record holder and was fourth against a strong Italian team of 3 who dominated the world, I don't think you got anything to be disappointed about.
Oh, thank you for that.
That's okay.
I shall take comfort on that.
Good. Well,
no, as I say, it's just one of those things that stays in your mind, isn't it, really?
So, was skating serious to you then? Obviously, did you?
Yes.
Funny enough, you just saying the fact about how much it bothered you about, all the niggles at you, answers this sort of question for me, because my question was going to be, was skating serious to you, or did you consider it a hobby? But
no, it wasn't. It was more than a hobby, shall I say? It was a love, really, because I enjoyed doing it. I mean, sometimes the races, they used to laugh at me as I'd race, but I'd say, what was the race? What was it? I can't remember the name of the title, but it was just the fact that the race was there, and I enjoyed the racing, and I think that was it.
what did you enjoy about it?
The speed, for starters, smart. Well, for all of it, I think, just the fact. The competing, I think I probably am competitive, really, because I enjoy that part of it.
Have you always been competitive?
I think I am, really, yes, to be honest. I sometimes try to tell myself I'm not, but I think I am, because it's, as I say, for me saying in that instance, I would have liked to have won that one race or something like that, So I suppose I am.
So what would you say was a high point for you in the skating?
I think it was the World Championships, know. And also the race at Leicester, although I didn't win, because I realised I could, and the thing was, you
were
know.
capable of
yes,
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that. So there was no World Championships in 55, and the next one would have been in Barcelona in 1956.
Yes.
And you were still skating then, but you didn't get selected for Barcelona.
No.
Was that a disappointment to you, or was it expected, or what's the story behind that?
I was disappointed. I obviously hadn't trained hard enough.
Right.
And I think the thing was that I was not as fast as the previous years. I'd lost a little speed somewhere along the line. Whether that was through the training or just through me, I don't know. But that was it.
So was the trials for Barcelona
Yes,
then?
I think so.
Because Pat was the only one to go. She was the only lady to go to Barcelona.
Yes.
And I just wondered what the story was in why there wasn't any other ladies.
Well, there was only, I think, 3 of us invited for the trials, if I remember rightly. And I think Pat was the only one to be selected.
Who was the other one? There was you, Pat, and
There's
who else?
Doreen Campbell.
Okay, so she was invited to the trials. So that was an upset for you then?
I suppose you would say. Yes, I was disappointed. Yes.
What effect did that have on you? Did you go back and train harder, or did you just do what you carried on doing, or?
Well, no, we trained as normal. We
Okay.
just went back and trained as normal, like really.
Okay.
Just disappointed not to be selected, you know.
And was it evident that you was not going to be during the trials? Did you think to yourself, I'm in trouble here, I'm not going to get selected for this? Or was there an expectation right up until the point the telegrams came out?
Well, I think we were told the telegrams weren't sent because they told us at the time,
Okay.
at the end of the sessions, like, you know, the last session that we went to, they said that they were only going to take it because the times were not of the previous standard, and so that they were only taking one person. So that was Pat, you know.
Yeah. Well, then the following year, 1957, was the World Championships were held in a place called Palermo in Sicily, but Britain decided not to send a team at all to Palermo. Do you remember that at all?
No.
It's funny that, because that sort of passes by quite a lot of people as well when I've asked them about Palermo. But we never.
Oh,
But
no,
Britain,
I don't
Britain never.
remember.
Yeah, Britain never sent a team, citing the fact that we hadn't got suitable skating facilities and everything else, and that we actually didn't send a team.
Oh, right.
So you wasn't aware of that.
No.
No. Okay. So, by my reckoning, and I don't know this for a fact, but by my reckoning, you retired from skating around 1958, having won the relay in November 57, and then round about there you stopped. So before we go into why you stopped, I'm just going to change the tape.
Oh, right.
We're back after I've changed my tape. Thanks for hanging on. And so we're just saying that by my reckoning is that you retired from skating around 1958, having won the relay, the British Championship relay again in 57. And am I right in that it was around 1958 that you decided to call it a day?
Yes, yes.
And the reason for that was?
More or less because I got married that year.
Okay, right, okay.
It wasn't all the actual reason, but that was part of it, or the major part of it, you know. And it was going to be harder to train and all the rest of it. So I thought, well, I've had kind of a good time and a good run at it. So I thought, if you're going to finish now.
Right.
So I decided to do that.
Was it a hard decision to make?
Yes, it was a little bit like, you know, sometimes you think afterwards, should you have stayed on? But I think it was right for me at the time, like, really.
So you'd have been, what, 26 at the time?
Yes, yes.
So that's no age.
No, I suppose not. No, when you consider the others and what they do today, it's only kind of quite a early time, really, isn't it, you know?
So did you stop completely, or did you just go and watch the races?
No, I think we went down to the club once or twice, but it kind of drifted off really because the whole setup changed, like, really. We moved out this way. I was working the other side of the town. By the time I came home, like, you know, it's quite a long time really to.
So your lifestyle
changed really.
Okay. So do you remember your last race?
No, I don't think I do, really, thinking about it.
And was it, but when you stopped, was it a conscious decision? You thought, I'm going to race up to that point and then I'm just going to stop? Or did you go, I tell you what, I've had enough, I'm not going to race anymore? Did you come home one night and say, that's it, that was my last race? Or was it a build up to it? Did you know you were going to stop?
I think it may have been a build up to it because we were getting married, we were buying a house. As I say, the arrangements, like work arrangements and the training was not easy, like, and I thought it was going to be too much, and I thought, well, as I said, that if I'm going to stop now, probably is a good time, you know. And I'd rather go out, as I say, I wasn't, you know, I felt all right in myself, and I felt I was doing all right, and I thought, well, it might be a nice time to go out on top rather than slowly go down, and yes, you know. If you can't train or if you can't do one thing or the other, you know.
Did you never consider becoming a judge or maybe going on the roller speed committee or anything like that?
No, mainly for the same reasons, work commitments really and home commitments at the time then, you know.
Okay. So I can say, so you'd only been, as I say, your mid-20s, like 26.
Yes,
So but what did you do after? Did you do anything afterwards? Anything sport or anything? Anything hobbies? What did you do after that?
We did archery.
Archery.
Yes.
Why not?
Why not indeed?
Yeah. So you took up archery.
Yes.
That's an interesting diversion. So how did that come about?
Well, that was mainly because we missed skating a little bit.
Really?
And rather than start to go back or think along that line, we said, right, we'll start from this side and we'll think of something that we can do together, like, you know.
Yeah, nice.
So, I don't know, we're both interested in archery, wasn't we? And there used to be, at Priory Road, there used to be...
Bristol Road.
Yeah. A teachers' college there that used to run an archery club, and we started there, didn't we? Went down to watch and saw it and got interested and decided to have a go at that, so that's what we did.
And how long did you do that for?
Oh, a few years.
Really?
Yes.
How good did you get?
We got a few medals between us. Yes.
Excellent.
Yes, we had
Go on.
No, I was just going to say we had fun at that, like, you know, really. We did field shoots and target shoots, you know,
Brilliant.
and that moved us around the country a bit. But it was a bit of a strange change, wasn't it?
But you say that, but again, I think that just shows the competitiveness, that the fact that you took up another sport almost, the fact that you're still looking to go and get medals in something else, you know, almost like would you say it was a substitute for your skating?
Well, it might have been.
Or-
It could well have been, you know. But, I mean, there was another issue with the fact that when I packed up, I thought as well that like, I thought it was kind of, oh, I don't know, just the right time, like, you know. So probably, what could I have said? I don't know. I didn't lose the competitiveness, obviously, but I'm not too sure now, thinking back. Like, at the time, I'd got it thought out in my mind, you know, that this is the time that I'm going to break. So probably perhaps I'd had enough. I don't know. I don't know.
Did you miss it?
I did miss it, yes. I missed the exercise.
And did you miss it now?
Yes. And once or twice, like over the years, you'd think, oh, I'd like to go and have a go again just to see how it goes, especially when the inline skates came, you know. And a few years ago, when we were in Germany, my son had bought a pair of inline skates, and we went out onto one of the recreational areas round there, and where they hold the beer festivals, and we had to go on the inline skates. He padded his boots out for me, bless him, so I could have a go.
And how was you on them?
Wobbly.
Well, do you know what? I tell you, I'm glad you've said that, because I'm going to copy this video, and I'm going to give it to Les Woodley, because he keeps on about talking about having a go, but he's not too, you know, oh, maybe not. So if you're listening, Les, are you listening? Pat's had a go on the old inlines. I'm sure you can. And so do you remember when the embassy burnt down?
Yes.
How did you feel about that? Was that a sad day?
Sad, yes, yes.
It's because I said I don't recall ever going there. As a, you know, if I did, I was only a baby. But it must have been. I didn't know how much of a wrench that was to see the embassy go up in smoke.
It was sad, and if years ago, it must have been a marvellous place. I mean, it had a bit of wear and tear when we saw it. But when it was new, and the floor was absolutely brilliant, really. So
over the time since you stopped, did you keep in touch with any of your skating friends?
Oh yes. We had visits from quite a few, and we went around for about 10 years. John and Doreen Campbell, Louis and Lee, we used to pop in occasionally, you know, and. I don't know whether you'd know him by name, but one of the skaters by Jimmy Colclough, and
I don't know.
He was a fellow that used to pop in, and then there was Buster, wasn't there? Brian Dobbs, wasn't his name? He was another of the skaters they used to call in.
So your kids still socially, still kept in touch. That's
and
nice.
then, as I say, when we met up at the. We still get cards from Frank Lester and some of the members of the club there now, like, you know. And...
so it's amazing, really, you've got... So, because really, you only sort of was involved in the speed skating for a period of about 7 or 8 years, you know, really.
Yes.
But that 7 or 8 years has lasted 60 years, if you like. You know, it's touched your life so much that even now... you know, it's still part of your life, and it's so long ago. But then it's not. You know, I think that's a nice thing to have something that for a brief period of time in your life has meant so much, and is still now, even after all those years, it's still very much still part of your life, albeit in a different way.
I mean, you forget about it at times, but. It's like my sons, when they found out I'd skated and we'd got records, they were quite excited over that, like, which surprised me, really, because they didn't know me as a skater, shall I say. Yeah. And as I say, when you think back, like, as I say, with anything that you do, whatever you do, like, as it touches you, you never forget it, like, really. It's like now when I think back, it all comes back again. I don't remember all the names and the places exactly, but the the skating is there, you know, and I've always thoroughly enjoyed that.
Great.
Yeah.
So if there was anything, if there's one thing, or if there's anything, actually, it doesn't have to be one thing, anything that that you would do differently with the skating, what would it be? Would there be anything at all?
Yes, I think I'd. What can I say? I'd. Not aggressive, but I think I'd push that little bit more, and the training as well, like, you know. I mean, when you think of the way, I mean, I don't know how the skaters train today, like, you know, but we'd, like, whether they go early to bed and all this business and
No.
kind of things. No, well, that's it. Well, neither did we. Like, you lived it through, like, at the end of a day's work, and you carried on and you did what you wanted to do at the end of that. But I think you probably could, the training could be a bit more, perhaps organised or something like that. I don't know, but I think put a little bit more. Because perhaps I think I didn't try that little bit extra, and I think I should have done. And now you see it, which is too late now. But you kind of, for anybody that's skating, like, you know, you get your direction and where you want to go, I think is the thing.
Is that a regret? Or is that just something that happened and just got a little bit...
No, I think that's something that just happened. It isn't a regret, like, because at the time...
That's how it was.
That's how it was for me, anyway. Yeah.
Would you do it again? Would you do it all again if you had your chance again?
Yes. Yes, I would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for you. Well, I don't know about you, but I mean, I've enjoyed the last hour and a bit sitting here chatting and reliving some of your memories, and I hope you have too. And it weren't that bad, was it?
No, good Lord, no.
You said you were nervous.
No. Well, I search for, what can I say? Search for words sometimes, and I know what's up there, but I can't always get it out.
Oh, no, well,
fine.
as I said, I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have, and like I say, Pat Brown, or Pat Kirkham as was, which is who I'm here to interview. I'd just like to say thank you very much, and I think what you achieved in skating is absolutely fantastic, and don't ever let anything niggle at you, because I think you paved the way for a lot of people, so a lot of women skaters, when you think that you were one of our first pioneers of women skating at World Championships, 3 world records, and and 7 British Championship medals and relay medals. I think you've done more than enough, so thank you very much for sharing your time.
Thank you.